Mr. Tandon, good to have you here, sir, and good to have you here especially on a very interesting topic that we're discussing, and that is how do we implement and ensure that we're using AI and machine learning and ensuring its viability in our daily case lives, and especially for a startup like yours, an Indian-born startup, an Indian-made startup, having seen success early on. I want to begin by asking, at this point in time, how are you integrating AI and machine learning into your daily systems?
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to speak with everyone. I think AI and the use of data sciences in the world today is very, very profound. And I think a lot of people are hearing a lot about AI is coming and this will happen, that will happen. But in the area that we work, healthcare, there are some very fundamental changes or a very big impact of data science and AI is that the entire paradigm of healthcare should start moving more to preventive managing wellness rather than managing disease. Healthcare today is actually disease management and not, or condition, when some acute event happened, you go and manage that. That's what we call healthcare for the most part. From there, it would be managing your health and well-being. Now, how does that transition happen? And why does data science or AI or all these big words, how do they come into play? First of all, the way a person's trajectory goes, there are very clear signals that the body generates at various points in time that something is off, something is going off track. Those signals are captured only when a significant event occurs. Now, what the modern technologies are enabling us to do is capture and analyze data patterns over long period of time for lots of people. So one simple example of areas, the kind that we are also working on, when you have, say, a few lakh patients with diabetes and you watch their progression over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, and you start seeing patterns that certain people started getting better, worse, sideways, and there are these inflection points. Now, how do those patterns get analyzed? That's when you have very large data sets available and the technology to make sense of those data sets. Now, step one of that is, I think the previous conversation was very interesting in that regard, that first step is just the infrastructure has to be there. There has to be digitization. So first phase of digital healthcare, what we have been doing in the country also, is just laying the infrastructure, plumbing, electrical, this, that.
So laying the grounds.
The ground has been laid. Now the data flow is happening. And we in India have a very unique advantage, which is we have a lot of people. So we have a lot of data. What does AI and data science needs? A lot of data, technology capability to make sense of that data, and then the data science processing infrastructure. Now is the time all of that has come together on top of the plumbing that got laid over the last, I would say, decade or so. Okay. So exciting time now.
Absolutely. So you've been in existence for almost a decade now. 1 year short of a decade?
Depends on where you count the journey. Okay. I started the journey in 2009, but 1mg came in 2015. So
okay. So let's go with the official record. Just 1 year short of a decade, when Tata 1mg was first started, when you laid the grounds for what officially today has become one of the pioneer healthcare companies. I want you to take us back in time and tell us, because you've seen phenomenal growth in last decade, what have been your growth drivers, and take us through the journey in the last 1 decade. How would you say the healthcare sector has transformed today?
I think the big fundamental change in healthcare, and that is what we started with, a fundamental belief that healthcare of the future will be patient-centric. And at that time, it actually sounded like a very bizarre idea that, and a lot of well-meaning people gave us advice that healthcare can never be patient-centric. It is always the doctor who decides and the hospital that decides. Patients are recipients. But we felt there is a better model of healthcare out there, and if we can create a model with the patient at the center and make everything come to the patient, then that is something that the consumers will prefer, because we were seeing a clear tension in the ecosystem where people were not very happy with the quality of healthcare they were getting, and they were having very many doubts that is everybody else's incentive aligned with my incentive, which is to
Feel better.
to feel better, to pay the right price, get the right treatment. Is all of that happening? Because I just don't know. So when we started with information and content, and I think that was first part. Educating your consumers is very, very important. So that worked very well for us. And then a more aware consumer starts demanding better quality, better service, and then you build to serve that consumer, bring the entire ecosystem together to serve that. That's how it has worked. So in the journey of the last almost a decade, I think the things that have really worked for us is staying very true to the patient is at the center of our universe. We solve problems that the patient has. It started with understandability of healthcare, then it came to transparency around information, then access to medicine, then affordability of medicines, and now quality.
Okay.
So I think that's how we've just put the patient there, find a need, solve for it, keep doing that.
Okay, and has the patient awareness also changed? Because I think it's very important to understand where the country has, how far we have come forward when it comes to healthcare. I know you talked about there was a time when it was about controlling diseases, treating diseases. Now it's about not being diseased. So being disease free, and so therefore focusing on health and wellness. And you've done a lot when it comes to wellness, when it comes to preventive care.
That's right. I think now there's a sea change in the awareness of the consumers. When we started, preventive tests used to be 5 to 10% of the industry. Today, it's close to 30-35%. So a lot more people are actively getting their annual health checkups done, their preventive wellness done. Look at the sale of products in the wellness category. I think self-care has become much more active and important, and I think it's a good trend. People are more conscious about managing their health, and they have the systems around them to guide them and support them.
Absolutely. Do you know, now that you say that, with a show of hands, how many of you have had a full body checkup in last 1 year? A full body checkup. Okay, I see more hands. I see more hands. All right. So there you have it, not many, but I think this number is way more than what it was about 10 years ago or 5 years ago for that matter. And I think COVID changed a lot for you, did it not? No one would have anticipated the kind of digital healthcare and telemedicine and the growth that Tata 1mg and other competitors got.
That's true. I think COVID basically hastened what was anyway going to happen in the future, but the entire value of digital healthcare, it used to be for most people in the healthcare ecosystem, digital was on the periphery at that point. It came front and center. And the big shift was that all the participants of the ecosystem, whether it's doctors, hospitals, pharma companies, insurance companies, government, all players adopted digital in a very, very active way. Just 3 days into the lockdown, when the Prime Minister announced that if you want to talk to a doctor, use telemedicine, the telemedicine guidelines came out. These are very big, profound changes for the ecosystem. And I think from there, the movement has only accelerated. So now we don't have to explain the benefit of that, because when all other supply chains stop, the digital supply chain still connects the user with the healthcare they need, and that's what we were able to do.
All right, and for anybody who is in fact looking at a full body checkup, I think it's a must. Everybody should. You have one of those, options right here in front of you, by the way of Tata 1mg. And talking about options, there are of course a lot of options when it comes to your competitors, namely NetMeds, PharmEasy. How do you differentiate from your competitors? What is the edge that, and you have potential customers here in form of an audience, what is the edge that Tata 1mg will give to these people and to me over other competitors?
See, at the end of the day, in healthcare, the right to win is the trust of the consumer. And why does the consumer trust you? It is about doing a series of things right every day day after day, day after day. So what we have been able to establish, and that's what I'm the most proud of, is the quality standards we operate with, and those are getting recognized. And compounding of all the benefits takes time, but just a few data points I'll share. Our labs, for example, are CAP accredited, which is a certification, it's a global certification from the US. We are heads and shoulders above any other lab in India. We are at 99.48% score. The global average is around 98.1, and the top labs from other top labs from India are around 95 to 97. So in our first year of this certification, and by the global, we are not only meeting the domestic benchmark, we are beating the global benchmark in our quality. So those are the kind of things we are obsessive about, that we have to give highest quality. The other thing, medicines. Again, the quality of medicines in the ecosystem right now, unfortunately, is very varied. For multiple reasons, there are issues around authenticity of medicines, there are expired medicines, cleaned and stamped and put back, and all kind of things happen. We purchase everything direct from manufacturer. We make sure all our warehouses, our supply chain, everything is air conditioned, temperature controlled. So the medicine that comes to you is of the highest quality. Now, these are things we do at the back end. We typically don't talk too much about it, but over a period of time, the consumers, they experience us.
Okay.
And that's what has happened. We've just put our head down, kept doing what we do it the right way. Over a period of time, if you're doing things right, consumers trust, you win. And healthcare, the right to win is that trust.
Okay, so you've been able to build that trust. You started as an e-pharmacy, correct me if I'm wrong, and that was the part of your, I think, the nascent part of your growth journey. Now, we have seen in terms of compliance and regulation, you said they have been tightened in the country, including the new, new drugs, medical devices, cosmetic bills 2023 also seeks to regulate e-pharmacies. There may be a regulation, there may be a ban, we don't know just as yet, but how are you going to work around it?
No, so I think as an industry body and a responsible industry body, we have been actively working with the government, seeking proactive, positive regulation. So we've been engaging very actively with the government on how should we make sure that this new industry that is building is operating in a way that this industry will, we benefit by, once it is defined that this is how all players should operate, it helps us because the unscrupulous players then cannot operate in the game. So from our perspective, we are active participants in the dialogue with the government and the regulator. We are fully compliant with the laws as they stand, so that's not the problem. I think going ahead, because this will be such a key part of it, there should be progressive regulation around this, and we not only welcome that, we participate in those conversations.
Okay,
well.
and I'm short on time. I have a lot of questions for you, but I think I'm going to ask one question that concerns a lot of people, is about safety of patient data, because you have access to a lot of it, and today consumers are increasingly becoming aware about where exactly do their health records go, how are they stored, how are they handled. At Tata 1mg, what sort of compliance and measures do you have in place to ensure safety of patient data?
No, absolutely. I think we treat that with a lot of responsibility, and for us, as I said, at the end of the day, if we lose or betray the trust of the consumer, if the consumers feel their data is not secure with us, we will not have a business. Mm-hmm. So while the law requires us, and the new data protection law is also out there, it requires us to do a bunch of things. From the very beginning, we have gone above and beyond. So everything data is encrypted. We follow the norms of very similar to, I would say, the financial sector. That's where data has a clear monetary value. We make sure encryption, all the technology support data, who can download, who cannot download, who can access, personally identifiable data, nobody in the company, even I cannot access for anybody who gets their test done in our system, etc., have been built not as a layer on top, but the very basis or the foundational layer as we build our technology. So data privacy first is how we build our systems. And it's purely in my business interest, because if I don't do it, and if I don't take care of the data that the consumers have given me with my responsibility, then consumers will leave me. So I have to do that, and we've always done that.
Okay, and before I let you go, I just want to quickly understand from you, what are the key challenges that you're looking at an organization level and at an industrial level when it comes to the online healthcare sector? It could be by the way of regulations, it could be some of the imminent challenges that you as a company is dealing with right now. Run us through some of the key challenges that you're facing right now when it comes to both the industry as well as your company particularly.
So I think as an industry, we are fairly stable and well-positioned right now. The challenge is the standard business challenges of hiring high-quality talent, and because the opportunity is so unbounded. It's not just the Indian opportunity, but we are creating models that probably, hopefully, the entire global south will adopt. And to do that, you need a lot of technology, a lot of manpower, a lot more capital into the ecosystem. Thankfully, we are very well, fully sufficient on that regard. So our challenges are now purely around our own execution, because the market is there, the opportunity is there, my team and talent is there. So now we don't have any excuses not to do well.
And what are you hoping to achieve? What are your short-term and long-term goals?
So so again, goals in various ways, but at one level, we want to make sure more and more people stay healthy over a longer period of time, which is longer disease and wellness management. So getting people onto longitudinal management of their health, and what is the outcome is enhancing the outcomes of the clinical outcomes of these patients. That's one part of it. The other part, as a business, what do we want to achieve? We want to be the best healthcare company of the country, the most loved healthcare company in the country, where patients feel that if they need anything in healthcare, Tata 1mg will always do right by them. So that's what we want to be. We want to be India's favorite healthcare company.
Favorite healthcare company. All the best for that, Prashant. We hope to have you back very, very soon. Thank you very much for sparing time. Thank you.